Catch me in the Muni where the party at. Dog pound, turn up with the elf up on my starter cap. Brought him back, boy, we from the land and we proud of that. Louder man, front to the back, here we go, I got him shouting that. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Game on the line, Joe Thomas, I promise. Jim Brown running through opponents, how I got this. I return like Josh Cripps, paying for the mini, got the dog pound jumping. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go, Brownies. Let's go,
Cleveland! This is for you!
Mr. Hero's turning 60. We're proud to have served your favorite cravings for 60 years and celebrating what we do best. Thanks, Ohio.
I crave a hero.
Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of the Here We Go Brownies podcast. I'm Allie Ellery, coming at you live from Pensacola, Florida. Joined with me, as always, we have Dustin out in Cleveland. Guys, if you haven't already, please download the Mr. Hero app onto your phone or tablet. Listen, you can get buy one, get one. They've got great rewards points in there. You can accumulate those. You can order food within the app. Just a ton of great features that they have. So please be sure to check out our friends over at Mr. Hero. Dustin, how's it going?
Good, Allie. It's Victory Monday, Victory Tuesday, Victory Wednesday. The Browns, by the way, the Browns are 2-0 in the Alpha Dog uniforms. 2-0. Kind of a conspiracy. They're 2-0, so that means they can. And I saw the other team they're going to play in the Alpha Dogs, which they could very easily go 3-0 based on the Alpha Dog uniforms. But
Who are they playing?
We got the New England Patriots this week, so a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack this week. Obviously, the coach over there is very familiar with us. We know him, what his mentality is. So it should be hopefully a fun, entertaining game to watch this Sunday. But and our Cavs are kicking off as we speak out in New York at Madison Square Garden. So sports all around.
Sports all around. Who are the Browns playing when they wear their Alpha Dog uniforms next?
I think it's the Titans, I believe.
Oh, all right. Well, that's interesting. I did not put two and two together that the wins are because they're wearing the Alpha Dog uniforms, but it's pretty cool. So in this show tonight, we are going to look back onto the win against the Dolphins. On the post-game show, I talked about how, we're going to take emotion out of it and kind of give it to you straight on this podcast on what we think that they did well, what some opportunities are to maybe have some continued success stretch of the schedule here. We're going to look ahead to the Patriots. Of course, we're going to bring on Dr. David Ellery here in a little bit for the medical moment. Unfortunately, some things to talk about there. And of course, we're going to go around the league, tell you all about, what we think's going on and any rumors. Speaking of rumors, Dustin, let's start with this. A lot of trade rumors floating around right now, and the most recent one being Garrett Wilson to the Browns. What do you think of that?
These always come out, and I feel like it's one person starts it, and then like clickbait central happens with all these other people. Like, oh, that sounds like that could be a possibility. Maybe we'll trade Shador there, and it's just, I don't know. It's clickbait a little bit. Like, I mean,
yes.
David Njoku has been part of trade rumors, but then I know some other stuff on the other side of that, and I'm like, I call that fool's gold based on what I know. There's a lot out there, and I just think you don't know anything until after the trade deadline's up, and then that's the real truth, right? But here's the truth, though. I do know that Andrew Berry is not afraid to do some wheeling and dealing. He's already done it. He's dealt Greg. He's dealt Joe Flacco already this season. He got rid of Amari Cooper, as we know, a season ago. So he's not afraid to pull the trigger and make a move if he feels like it's going to make the team possibly better this year and the following year. And based on the Newsome trade, I'm already happy with that. And I feel like we're already seeing the dividends of what that could turn into this year and next year. So, I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a move, maybe for an offensive lineman. There could be a lot of things he could be looking forward to.
He already did. I mean, don't forget he did make a trade for for Kim Robinson, who's
Right.
been. But I think that to the Jets selling some of their assets. I mean, they are probably more likely to hit the reset button than several other teams throughout the league. I think the Dolphins are another one. So if you can look, it's always worth asking what the price is for somebody of that caliber, Garrett Wilson, or go down to Miami, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Waddle. What's it cost? It's not, totally crazy to build up on some of those assets now and then maybe figure out quarterback down the line. So sure, maybe I'd like it. We need a receiver, so sign me up for that. He's a great player, but I'd be surprised if it does happen. But trade rumors are always fun. I like talking about them.
Yeah, and I guess for me, we have enough assets now, depending on what we feel like we need to do at the quarterback position. But I feel like wide receiver, with the assets we have next year, with 10 draft picks now, we could address the wide receiver position next year, possibly, and get a great wide receiver that's a young rookie on a rookie deal, and not try to give away our future assets, obviously, to try to go get something from another team. But that's just just me.
All right. Let's take a look back at the win over the Miami Dolphins real quick before we do so. Dustin, tell our listeners about Southern Tier Brewery.
Yeah, guys, Southern Tier Brewing. Excited to have them out on the boat on Saturday. That was a lot of fun for them to do some sampling. And we just dropped, we're going to be doing our Christmas party at Southern Tier Brewing. It'll be December 18th on a Thursday night from 7:30 to 10:30. Come join us down there. Lots of details. We'll have some alumni, a lot of folks coming out. But it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a great party. But look for a lot more stuff too. But basically, the brewery throws up Christmas basically inside. They reinvent it so Allie, you've probably seen this. They might do them in Florida, where these bars just basically turn into Christmas bars. Have you seen that? That's a thing now, where basically you walk in and it's like, okay, this isn't the same bar I walked in 2 months ago, and it's like they turn it to a completely Christmas themed bar. But that's what they do there, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, cool. All right, let's take a look back at the win over the Miami Dolphins. Of course, the Browns come away 31-6 on the day, and I think the biggest thing that was just kind of relieving for us fans is the Browns finally put together a complete game, offensive, defensively, and special teams. Everybody was set to perform. It just blows my mind every time that I hear this stat, but 12 straight games without scoring more than 17 points. And you it's not even the 20, it's like the threshold of 17. And then you get beyond that, you score, almost double that. You get 31 total points in this game. That's a huge win for this team, obviously, figuratively and literally, but just the momentum going forward to show, hey, we still left a lot on the table offensively. Dylan Gabriel did not really see a lot of things on the field on this past Sunday. Now, some of that due to weather, but really sticking to his first read. We'll get into that here in a little bit. But it wasn't necessarily the prettiest win, but they still did it. They still showed, hey, even in weather, in bad elements, even when, our quarterback isn't playing lights out, we can still find a way to win. And that's what they did. It wasn't flashy. They had 206 total yards of offense. But Miami, they kind of imploded, really. They really did. They never got comfortable offensively. They were 1 of 13 on third downs. They only had 6 points on the day. No touchdowns, just field goals. It was a brutal day for the Miami Dolphins if you're a fan of them. But, defense really kind of laid the foundation for this win. And I think that is a foundation going into games later on in this season on how to win. You can rely on your defense to do things. But like I said, maybe a couple of shows ago, the defense not being able to really, they're out on the field more often than not. It's more of an extension of offensive woes than it is anything. So having your defense completely set the tone is an identity and can be built upon, if you will, going down the stretch of the season. Let's just kind of take a look back at the defensive performance in this game, Dustin. Miles was awesome. Alex Wright was great. Carson Swessinger was all over the place. They were doing different things. They were disguising. At one point you had Myles Garrett you had Mason Graham as a defensive end. You had Miles kind of as an off-ball linebacker. And then a couple of times Miles on the inside, just being able to do different things. They were comfortable. And Miles said in his availability, they got back to doing what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and for me, we talked about this from like what would be a key to victory for the Cleveland Browns against the Miami Dolphins. The fact that they were able to create so many turnovers in this game and win the turnover battle was key to me. If they could win the turnover battle, but what did they do more importantly? Once they created the turnover, the offense created that into points, hence the 31 points that were actually put on the board by the Cleveland Browns. So anytime you have an opportunistic defense that can then turn around and give your offense more opportunities to put points on the board, which is absolutely what they did, that puts you in a great position to win. And it was interesting because if you listen to any of Stefanski's post-game presser, he goes, anytime you create 4 turnovers in the National Football League, almost 100% of the time you're going to win that football game, basically. So basically what he was saying is like, man, when you give your offense that many opportunities with turnovers and their own possessions, you should definitely win the football game. And that's kind of why I think the game was so lopsided, was because basically the Miami Dolphins gave us the opportunities when it was our turn, and then they gave it back to us again when we had turnovers or interceptions or our special teams punch out a ball or something.
Yeah.
They give us another opportunity. So that's really where I think that game went in one direction, was the amount of turnovers that our defense provided for our offense to and capitalize, right? Key there, capitalize. Our offense actually was able to capitalize on those turnovers and turn them into points and just made it what the game was on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, you had 4 takeaways on the day. You had 3 picks and a pick 6. I mean, it's the recipe there, especially at home in a game that you kind of had to win, or it was going to be a very hostile environment. The weather wasn't great. That's what you needed. That's what you needed out of the leaders of your team. And the leaders of this team is the defense. So to be able to rely on them was very refreshing to see. And I think, something that we were all kind of longing for. But you're right, being able to do something once you do get the ball back. And that has been kind of the frustration as a Browns fan is, okay, great, your defense is electric. They can do so many things for you. But, you hand me this opportunity and I'm just going to, do nothing with it. That's what's so frustrating. But they were able to turn a lot of those into points. So kind of going into that. Now, I think we said at the start, and I don't want to come across as being negative, win's a win, and we're very, very happy about that. But there were some opportunities left on the table. There were still some things that I think this offense would want to do differently, given that opportunity. I mean, if we just go into the rushing attack, when we were, talking about it on our post-game show, Dustin, we were like, wow, this rushing game was awesome. Quinshon had 3 touchdowns. That's electric. That's awesome. That's how you have to win in an ugly game. However, it was a little bit limited. I talked about Dillon Gabriel not being able to really get through his reads, even though he had a clean pocket. Oftentimes really just relying on the first read. It was predetermined pre-snap, and that is not sustainable. That is not something that he can continue to do and not throw 5 picks a game. If you go back and you watch the film in that game, there were several picks to be made. So, you hope that gets better. But talking back on the rushing attack, Quinshon, 3 total touchdowns, but he was only 84 yards and 25 carries. It's only 3.3 a pop. So you have to have a little bit more. They did run the ball a lot, 33 times to be exact, partly because, one, you didn't want to have to ask Dillon Gabriel to throw the ball 58 times again. And
Right.
2, of course, given the weather, and also because Miami's run defense was pretty bad. So you just need to be able to rely on that a little bit more. We talked about having an identity and that being mostly of the defense. But if we go back a couple of years, their identity was running the football, dominating the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball and being able to just run it down your throats with Nick Chubb. Now, I understand this is a different team. This is a different offensive line. And Quinshon is not Nick Chubb, not yet. Anyways, he's a different player. So we have to kind of temper our expectations, but I still think that you should still be able to run the ball. Angel puts here, he had, just 5-6 open receivers. Yeah. One that comes to mind is Jerome Ford. I think it was like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6. It was down in the red zone. And you had, he was dead set on going to Jerry Jeudy. He snapped. Jerry Jeudy kind of collided with the defender, falls down. He throws it to him anyways. It doesn't go anywhere. And you had Jerome Ford peeling around wide ass open for a touchdown. That has to convert. You have to have that. So I think down the stretch of this season, and as the development continues with Dillon Gabriel, those are things you want to see. I'm optimistic that we will. I think, he's only started 3 games, and one of them being just egregious weather. So really hard to judge there. But excited to see what what it looks like offensively against New England.
Yeah. Sidebar. I don't know if you saw this on social media. You probably did because we go down the rabbit hole of everything on social media. Did you see the owner's grandsons on the sidelines, what they were wearing? I don't know if you saw that.
I don't know if I did.
Okay. So, yeah, Jimmy was on the sidelines, and his grandsons were both wearing Shedeur Sanders jerseys.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on. Like, come on. You got to – I was like, what are we doing here? It's like –
I mean, he's a likable guy. I can see why, but yeah.
But I mean, those are your grandkids. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, if it was like any other kids, okay, I'll give a free pass on that. But I'm like, gotta have a little sensitivity to that. But I thought that was.
And I want to highlight this here. The Browns did use an extra lineman on 22 of 52 plays. That right away, we were watching it, and I'm like, Luke Whippler's out there. What are they going to do with Luke Whippler? And to be able to see the creativity in that regard, I thought was kind of refreshing. And yes, that is the highest rate by any team in a game this season. Curious to see how that trend will continue. I think that it's entirely possible, especially when you do get Aiden Huntington back. I always mess that up. I want to call him Aiden Hutchinson. When you do get him back in a fullback role / defensive player, it's very weird, but he's very versatile in that regard. And also Luke Whippler, can you use him? Can you continue to do those things? And if so, does that kind of increase your, what you can do offensively? Does that open some things up, especially for Quinshawn and what they want to do in the rushing attack? So overall, I was impressed with a little bit more creativity offensively. And I was also just relieved to see that there is still some buy-in. The players aren't out on Kevin yet. They're not given up. The team still played hard, and Miles did echo that in his post-game availability, saying, that one win is one thing, got to turn it into a habit. The team really hasn't quit on Kevin Stefanski, so just the energy around this does feel better. It feels different than last year.
Yeah, and I think this team, and we've talked about it. I mean, they have 2 wins on the season, but they could easily have 4 wins. We know that, right? This could be a 4-2 team. At this part in juncture of the season, or a 4-3 team, right? I mean, but I mean, this team is better than their record. The defense certainly is going to keep them in every single game going forward, I think. So it'll be interesting because I kind of looked at this. I mean, it's crazy to think, but we're only 2 games out of the division. Like, that's crazy to be even saying that. But I mean, the division's kind of all over the place. And I think we all thought this was the roughest, toughest stretch of who we had to play this year, right? So as we looked at like, whoa, man, that first half of the season looks ugly for us. There are winnable games on the back half. Like, I think this could be a 6 to 8 win team, to be honest. I mean, like, if they stay in some of these games, like, that's not crazy to me that they could go 4-4 and, they could win 6 or 7 games. Now, there is the argument, what the hell does that do for you if you're not going to make the playoffs? What does 6 to 8 wins mean versus 3, right? I mean, there is that argument. It doesn't do you a lot of good in the National Football League to keep winning games, especially when you have 2 first-round draft picks. I can buy into that argument a little bit, but at the same time, I don't know. Like, I think you want your team still fighting and seeing what they have in them. Now, there's also rumors all over the league in the last couple of days that we could see Shedeur after the bye or the last 4 games. Like, there's a plan for that to happen for the last 4 games. But I think that buys into the idea that you're going to miss the playoffs, right? Like, you're not going to make the playoffs, so you want to see everything you have that you drafted. So who knows?
Yeah. It'll be curious. Really,
I agree with that, Angel. I agree with that, Angel. Good point.
So yeah, I mean, great to have a win. Great to beat the Miami Dolphins. Feel good about this team. Get back in a better headspace, but you have to question how sustainable is, what some of what they were doing. Can you do that down the stretch of the season? Probably not. some of the things, like, you're not going to get 4 takeaways a game. You're just not. But even if you can only force 1 a game or less than that, defensively, can you still essentially out-scheme them? Can you still confuse the quarterback, have organic pass rush? And I think we can. This is a great front 7. I'm very optimistic about this defense. But offensively, are you able to turn any opportunity into points? That's going to be the question. And of course, our friend Angel just said, you have to get pretty creative. And offense to kind of exploit defenses. So that is looking back to the Dolphins.
Yeah, and by the way, how does he still have a head coaching job in Miami? That's when you see some of these other coaches getting fired, like what are they doing down there? Like,
I don't know. Nuts. That's a bad situation to be in. I would argue. Worst situation to be in.
Yeah, as I say, we it could be worse. I will say this: the one thing, love, hate, or indifferent about Kevin Stefanski, he's a pretty level-headed guy.
Yes.
And there's and I know you talked about. And I know you talked about there's something just weird going on in the coaching space with the Dolphins. I mean, there's something odd going on there where Kevin Stefanski, win or lose, it's the same guy. Like, he's going to come out and tell you what we did wrong, what we can do better. And he's got somewhat of a positive attitude and keeps his head up, right?
And that is one thing, 2 weeks ago when we were so pissed at the Browns, I wanted to make the point of saying, hey, remember where we were just 2, 3, or at this point, 5, 6 years ago when we had Hugh Jackson, when we were really in the thick of things with Freddie Kitchens, and how you weren't sure what they were going to do. You weren't sure if this was just going to be an absolute dumpster fire. One thing about Kevin, love him or hate him, he's going to keep it professional. He is going to keep it professional and maintain a fairly level head. So I can appreciate and respect that. Now, certainly, I think a lot of times you'd want to see more emotion out of him, but you look at other situations and you're like, that seems worse. That seems significantly worse. So
I feel like that seems like a blank show. Right. I know. That
sucks over there. So let's bring David on here. Got some things to talk about with him. Before we do so, we want to tell you about our friends over at City Barbecue. If you're looking for something for lunch or dinner, head on over to City Barbecue. They have award-winning sides, meats, they're and sauces, of course. It's awesome. It's awesome. They can also cater your events. So if you have maybe a shower coming up, a corporate event or anything like that, they can cater your event. Please be sure to check them out, as well as our friends over at Stadium Mustard. Guys, if you don't have Stadium Mustard in your kitchen this season, you are doing it wrong. The iconic brand, the iconic taste. It's beloved from ballparks to backyards and everywhere in between. Stadium Mustard is a smooth brown mustard, rich in both taste and tradition. By the way, loved by millions. Be sure to head on over to stadiummustard.com to shop now. Let's bring him on, Dr. David Ullery. This is brought to you by our friends over at Lorello Vineyard.
Here we go, Brownies Nations. We are here with Larry Lorello at Huntington Field to talk about Here We Go Brownies wine and all the other amazing wines at Lorello Vineyards.
Yeah, I just want to tell all of you guys, it's harvest season right now. We just started with some of the whites, and reds will be coming in next. Stop out the winery, all the wineries out in Northeast Ohio, for to check out all the harvest and what we're doing out there. Really good time right now.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Here we go.
Woof, 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 woof.
All right, let's bring him on. The husband of the program, Dr. David Ullery. Hi, David.
Hey, Allie. Hi, Dustin.
What's happening?
David, good to see you.
Let them know.
Let them
know.
What is going on? How we living?
Living great. Just pumped that we get to now start enjoying the NBA season while still getting just not even halfway through the NFL season. So very excited about the turn of things in October now.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Cavs are down 14-10, 7 minutes in the first quarter for anybody who watching the show. So.
There you go. All right, David. Let's get into it. I know we want to talk about Mike Hall first. I want to kind of talk about the injury report going into this Sunday, what that looks like, and anything that we can expect. I'll turn it over to you.
Yeah. So I think first one, probably one of the bigger news is a bigger pieces we're all waiting to hear on is Jack Conklin has cleared the concussion protocol. So no issues with him practicing, and we should be able to anticipate seeing him suit back up on Sunday as far as I'm concerned. So that's good just to get that experience back on the offensive line and hopefully, give Dylan a little bit more protection as he's back in the pocket or just in the run game. Looking over the rest of it, 2 players just on rest today, Joel Bitonio and Malik Collins, so nothing to worry about there. What else? Grant Delpit was listed with a toe injury, but was a full participant. Mike Hall with his knee injury was a full participant. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then otherwise, a couple limited practices includes Mason Graham, Shelby Harris, Jenkins, David Njoku, Denzel Ward, and Blake Whiteheart. So they're all kind of dealing with just these ailments that kind of make them questionable or day-to-day. Most of them are listed on questionable on the official injury report. The only players who did not practice were, as Ali already alluded to, Aiden Huntington with a concussion. And then Jerry Jeudy did not practice due to a knee injury. And so that's, slight concern that midweek he didn't practice, but he still got 2 days of practice plus Saturday to, get as ready as he can be and hopefully suit up. Just because obviously we already know wide receiver is not the strong suit of this team right now. So not having Jerry Jeudy would definitely be not a good thing. So those are kind of the rundown there. Looking at the other side of the field with the Patriots, they definitely have a number of people listed as limited participants, but nothing too significant. I would say the most significant would be Stephon Diggs, the chest injury. He was limited in practice today, but overall, he probably will play. It seems like he's at least been kind of trending upwards for all the games so far this year.
Cool. All right. Nice to have Jack back. That's always very helpful, especially with a rookie quarterback going up against a pretty fierce opponent, really, with the Patriots. They're a pretty underrated team right now in what they're doing. I think they're well coached. That's going to play a huge role in our keys to a victory. We'll get to that in a few moments. But I also want to talk about the Mike Hall situation. This is really interesting. We didn't get to talk about it since our last show, but really he had a surgery. Nobody really knew about it. It was kind of clunky. We've learned a little bit more. So David, take it away.
Yeah, so we know, last game of the season last year, he had a knee injury. We knew he had surgery pretty quickly after, and then we assumed he'd be good to go. He'd be ready for the season, and we know that he's obviously missed the first 7 games now. And this past week before the game, it came out that he actually had a severe enough injury that he had to require a second surgery in April. They called it the MCL tear, which we kind of knew, but then they also described it as a knee dislocation. And then to me, if you dislocate your knee, you're going to tear more than just your MCL, unless it was your kneecap. But they didn't say patella, they didn't say kneecap, they said knee. And so that probably means he tore his ACL or PCL as well, and likely had to go through like a stage surgery, or I'm not sure what the April surgery would have been, especially if they were anticipating him to be possibly available for the beginning of the season. With only 5 months really there to recover, that sounds more like maybe a meniscus repair, or even just like a meniscus cleanup if there's a partial injury where they can't repair it. Either way, though, some pretty revealing news last week from the standpoint of him being diagnosed with a knee dislocation, including the MCL tear, probably ACL tear, and then the full expectation of him being ready to go in September. It's just very strange to me because, again, you classify something as knee dislocation, that is an ACL, that is we know like a 12-month recovery. And here he is, full participant in practice. So it's odd to me. It doesn't all add up, but I really don't understand really the benefit to it. I don't see why we would not disclose this surgery from April and then continue just stringing him out and making him unavailable from game to game to game. Because Allie and I were talking about this, before the game on Sunday. It almost created kind of a negative, like a negative interpretation of how he's handling his body and how he's going through this, because it always felt like doctors say he's ready to go, but maybe he's not ready to go himself. And it's like, why isn't he playing? Why isn't he ready? And yeah, exactly. He already had kind of a character issue coming out of the draft. And so now having this as well, people are really questioning, like, is this the right guy to make this team to have been drafted and play for this team? But then when you learn that he had a second surgery, it kind of all like clears him a little bit. And I just don't understand the decision from the coaches to not put him on the PUP list at the beginning of the season, save a roster spot, and then activate him when he's ready. It doesn't
make any sense. That is mind-blowing to me. And like unacceptable in my opinion, because you're really putting the player at risk for just unnecessary pushback, unnecessary judgment. And I just, it doesn't benefit you in any way.
I don't think so. Apart from the fact that maybe they were really optimistic that they would have him, so the benefit would be him playing. But again, knee dislocation, 2 surgeries, that seems like some mismanagement from like even the team doctors. Now again, I don't want that I'm not slandering them. I'm not saying that they did something incorrect. It's just there's pieces of the puzzle that we are missing, parts of the picture that we don't fully see, and maybe we'll learn more. I don't know.
David, you just said piss. That was funny.
I did. Piss is a puzzle.
All right. Yes, I don't know. I just don't like it. And certainly we don't have the whole story. Maybe there was something here where there was a miscommunication between the player and the organization, or this actually was just the organization making a decision. But I don't like it. It's weird. So now knowing what we know, what is the likely return for Mike Hall?
I mean, I don't know, because last week on Friday he was a full participant in practice, so we thought, oh sweet, we're going to see Mike Hall, and then he didn't play. And this week on Wednesday, a full participant, and so I think the fact that he is a full participant Wednesday midweek is more encouraging. And if we see full practices out of him tomorrow and Friday, I would say we should expect to see him on Sunday.
Yeah.
The fact that they did not put him on the PUP list or on the IR in the offseason, or even to begin this season, tells me that this wasn't something they expected to take a full year to recover from. So if he practices all week, he should play Sunday.
All right. Hopefully.
Yeah.
So David, Angel brings up a good point here. Thank God we have depth here. Do you think that's part of this? Is they're not rushing him back because of the depth, versus if there was a glaring need to bring him back in, maybe they're bringing him back slowly? I mean, do you think there's any? Because you're right, it's weird that they wouldn't put him on the list to just reactivate him later. Do you think that's part of it?
I mean, maybe that doesn't. I don't love that as a strategy, just because, especially if you designate him before the season, like that frees up a roster spot for
Right.
however long he's off the team, or I mean, off the active roster. And yeah, I mean, depth plays a role, but I feel like that's more of a conversation towards the end of the season, when it's really like do or die time, and like you need these wins to be in the playoffs, or like guys are really putting their body on the line. He's in his third year. He's a young player. I would think from an organization standpoint, you just want him to get as healthy as he can before you put him back in, because you want him to have a long career and be able to sign him to a second contract. And so even that, like, just doesn't seem like a great strategy to me, but certainly could be some rationale for it, knowing like, hey, let's see if he can make it through practice and is ready to play. But if there's any question, we'll just sit him. And maybe that's been the approach the past 7 weeks.
Weird still. It's all weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. I like it. I don't like it one bit. Okay. Anything else on the injury standpoint, David, that we missed?
No, I think that's it. I don't have any other major updates. I think we've covered it, and hopefully, it's a short conversation next week.
Any Deshaun Watson news updates? Anything there? Nothing?
No, I haven't seen or heard anything from him or from like JOK in terms of like what he's been able to do. But we know that, again, there's been all those videos over the past month of Deshaun working out and training. But we know that this should be a 8 to 12 month type of thing. And so, especially with the second surgery. So I don't know. But no, I have not heard anything new.
I will say I saw JOK on Saturday. He looked good, walking around in good spirits. So he's getting around great. He's in great spirits. I think from his standpoint, it's really going to come down to what the doctors say. I mean, you know that, when it all said and done. But he was in good spirits, and he was excited to be around the fans and stuff like that. So, man, would love to add him to this group of linebackers. Man, that would be if he could come back, that'd be one hell of a group out there.
Yeah, definitely. Before we transition here to Keys to a Victory and looking ahead to this matchup, I want to give our friends over at We Bleed Ohio a shout out. Guys, they can do your custom basketball, football, baseball themed designs. You can get your official Here We Go Brownies podcast hat, t-shirt, all of that good stuff over at We Bleed Ohio. So please be sure to check out our friends over there. And, Dustin, just while we're at it, why don't you tell our listeners about our friends over at Greater Cleveland Aquarium and Lady Caroline Cruise Ship?
Yeah, guys, we had a great time out there on Saturday. Lots of fans, Greg Pruitt, Ben Davis, and some alumni joined us. We got to give away a bunch of wonderful prizes. It was cool to have all the folks out there enjoy it. It was just fun to go out there. And by the way, it was the nicest day in Cleveland in like 6 days. So it was like 75 and sunny. I don't think we could have got a better day. But guys, they have a Halloween cruise coming up. They have a New Year's cruise, and they'll have some other limited cruises throughout the rest of the year. So check them out. And if you are in downtown Cleveland, right next door, there is a Greater Cleveland Aquarium. Go check them out. They've got some stuff for Halloween and some cool stuff inside there that they're going to do with all the different things, from the shark tank to the all the different exhibits. But check them out right down there in Cleveland at the Greater Cleveland Aquarium in downtown on the Cuyahoga River there.
There you go. sounds like a great, nice little fall afternoon. You can do two things down in greater Cleveland area. So please be sure to check out our friends over there. Also, if you are buying or selling real estate, maybe you're in the market, you just have some questions, or even you're trying to rent, give our friend Crystal John Tony a call over at eXp Realty. She's an expert in the industry. 216-215-6663, or over at johntonysells@gmail.com. So let's get into our keys to a victory here. Look, this is going to be a pretty tall task to go into Foxborough, win this game. One, they're just a good team. This is a pretty underrated team. Drake May is playing great football. He really is the primary offensive weapon for them. They don't have, they're kind of running back by committee with Ramondre Stevenson and Travion Henderson. Defensively, they're sound. A Vrabel-led team. They're pretty disciplined. They're pretty good. So this is gonna be a tall task. And also because Vrabel was just in your organization last year, he saw all of this. So if anybody understands this offense, it's Vrabel. So Browns really will have to go in and play very, very, very disciplined football. Dylan Gabriel is going to have to be efficient. The run game is going to have to be efficient, and defensively, similarly to what they did last week, they are going to have to force takeaway. So let's get into some keys to a victory. David, let's start with you on this one.
Okay. So for me, on like the offensive side of the ball, just as you alluded to, I mean, Vrabel was just with this organization. He was with the offense. He knows Tommy Rees well, so he is going to be very well prepared for this. So I think obviously you have to you have to be good at the foundational things in football and like do these small things well. But I think there's going to have to be some wrinkles thrown in there, some things that maybe something new that hasn't always been a part of your offensive scheme, just to kind of catch him off guard and maybe have a splash play. I know that it's not really what Dylan's been doing or can do, but in games like this, when you're on the road in a pretty tough environment to play in, like you're going to have some kind of breakout play or splash play. And I think if it's something where maybe it wasn't part of your offense 2 years ago, it might be something that can catch Vrabel off guard. My other one on the other side of the ball is bend but don't break on the defense. If you can hold them to field goals and keep them out of the end zone, you're going to give yourself a fighting chance, especially again in a hostile environment. So yeah. I don't care if they get down to the red zone. If you can keep them to field goals or even turnovers on downs in the red zone, it's going to go a long way in order to get this team a victory against this pretty, as you said, underrated team that's going to be quite a challenge to defeat.
Yeah. So I have something quite similar, and that is you have to capitalize in the red zone. When you look at what the Patriots do offensively, they're only averaging 16.3 points a game. So really, if you can kind of control the tempo and the field position in this game, you're going to feel pretty good about it. Cleveland's defense forces 3 and outs on 46% of drives. So, that's hopefully going to limit the down and distance and what that looks like, but also the explosive playability for what Drake May wants to do offensively. But it all comes down to winning up front. So if the Browns can do defensively what they did against the Dolphins, and that is continued disguises. I mean, they had a safety blitz, corner blitz. They were just doing so many different things. At the end of the day, you're going up against a second-year player in Drake May. You can still confuse the hell out of this guy, and you've got the best defense in the league. Use it. I mean, they're number one in total defense. So let Myles Garrett do what he does, be disruptive. They've got a pretty young offensive line. We've got a pretty veteran-led defensive line, organic front seven. I'm very eager to see what that looks like. But again, controlling tempo and field position. So if you can stop their run and force their third and long, you're going to feel pretty decently going into this. Cleveland only allows 82.4 rushing yards a game. So, I mean, I'm not threatened by Ramondre Stevenson in this at all. So those are my keys to a victory. Dustin, what do you got?
Yeah, for me, I think, David, you hit on it a little bit. I think you need to be a little more aggressive with Dylan Gabriel in this game. You've got to give him a little bit more of an expanded offense and have him be a little more creative in this football game. And I just think that has to happen. And, I mean, this is his third week now. Fourth week now playing with this offense. I think you kind of need to give him that latitude to kind of make more risky decisions. Look at extra reads, to Ali's point, and find open receivers and take some chances downfield. I just think if you don't do that, you're going to be too predictable of an offense, and Vrabel will see right through that. Also, I do think the defense needs to create a couple turnovers in this game to put us in the plus category on this. I think when the Browns can create a couple turnovers, it obviously makes it a different dynamic game. And I just think from a defensive standpoint, you're going to have to at least get one turnover, if possibly two, to make the difference in this game. I think Vegas has the Patriots by 7 in this game, at least a touchdown in this game. So it's not crazy, right? It isn't a big spread for this game. So they must think it's going to be somewhat close, which I do think it will be somewhat close because these guys kind of know each other. They're going to probably play pretty close to the vest. But for me, you're going to have to create a couple turnovers in this game. And then you're just going to have to let Dillon Gabriel be a little bit more creative in this football game and give him more of an open playbook to create some wrinkles that, like you said, Vrabel is not going to be ready for in this football game for me.
Well, it certainly helps that, you're not going to be playing in the environment that you played in last week with rain coming at you from all different directions. So we will be able to have a better view of what Dillon Gabriel can do. And again, I mean, if we go back to Sunday, he missed a lot. He left a lot out on the field. And really, when you're going up against a pretty decent defense and a pretty good football team, you can't miss these layups. We came away victorious because, I mean, the Dolphins are really bad. But how sustainable is that? Certainly, if you can create takeaways, you are going to be in a better position and you're going to have more opportunities to score points. But when we have limited opportunities, so let's say the Browns, they don't create any turnovers here, can Dillon still be able to go through his reads, not panic, not bail out, to actually see what's there? I think giving Kevin some credit here, called a pretty good game last week. And sorry about our dog. Called a pretty good game. It was very creative in comparison to what we've seen earlier this season. So Dillon's got to go and perform. He's got to make these plays, take the things that are there. And, I would hope that Kevin's not going to ask him to do too much and throw the ball 65 times in insane complex schemes. I mean, just take what's there. That's going to be a huge key here. So there you go.
I agree. Yep. Basics and fundamentals. It's so important, especially for a rookie.
And again, you're going up against a second-year quarterback. It's not prime Tom Brady here. Although Drake May is playing very good football, and I think he's going to be pretty good. You get him in his second year. Exploit that with your defense. That's
absolutely.
All right, there you go. There you have it. There's our keys to a victory. Let's go around the room real quick and do some score predictions. Dustin, what do you got?
I'm going to go. I think the Browns do lose this game. I think the Browns are going to lose 24-20. Well, no, I'm going to go 24-20. I do think it is a close game. The Browns lose 24-20 in this game. They do put a valiant effort up, but they come up short on the road at New England.
Yeah, I agree. Unfortunately, I don't know that the Browns can win 2 in a row for several reasons, right? You've got a rookie quarterback. You're going up against Vrabel, tall task, and they're just a good football team. I'm unfortunately going to take the Browns to lose here 24-21. I think that they get over the hump of, hitting 20 points in a game, and, for the second week to do that. And, it's watchable football. It's not terrible, but give me the Patriots 24-21. David.
We all kind of thinking the same thing here. Just it's such a hard place to go play, and we know that these Patriots are a pretty good team, and just pulling off 2 in a row sounds pretty hard right now. So I'm of the same mindset. I'm still going to kind of stick to my keys though. So I think there's going to be a lot of field goals going on. I think it's going to be like 20-13 Patriots.
There you go. There you have it. All right, David, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Let them.
Right. That was Dr. David Eller. That was a medical moment. And then, of course, our keys to a victory. Dustin, real quick, tell us about Primetime Sports and Framing.
Yeah, guys, Primetime Sports had a lot of fun this last weekend. Michael Dean Perry was there. Obviously, JOK, Eric Metcalf. So we had a lot of fun out there with Primetime. But, join us this Saturday. Bo Jackson, that's right, the running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes, will be Saturday at Belden Village Mall in the afternoon this Saturday. So come join us out at Primetime Sports Framing. But by the way, if you have any needs or anything framed, they have a buy one, get one half off sale now for any items that you want to get framed. They do a great job of that. So check them out and all the wonderful things. And then look for our cool auctions that we're doing online here for anybody looking to get some cool stuff to put in your sports room.
Yeah, there you go. So are you ready to go around the league, make some picks?
Yeah, I'm not doing so hot these days. I don't know if I gotta be more aggressive or conservative. I got two. You beat me by one last week, so I'm doing a little better.
I still got you.
So what is the overall record? What is our overall?
Okay. The record is I am up 4-0-1, and you are 0-4-1.
So my only saving grace is a frickin' tie. That is terrible. Okay,
right,
but you know what? There is time to recover. There is time to recover here.
Long season. All right, Vikings at Chargers, Thursday Night Football.
I'm going to go Chargers.
I'm going to go with the Chargers here too. I think so. At home, Thursday night. Yeah. Dolphins at Falcons.
Falcons are kind of a little frisky these days. They're playing okay
football team. I mean, you've got a great offense. You've got a great offensive line. You've got a good defense. You've got Bijan. You've got Drake London. You've got Kyle Pitts. Like it's a good situation they've got going. It's just, can Michael Penix Jr. figure it out? Can he be the guy? I think the Falcons. Bears at Ravens.
Boy, Lamar Jackson is back at practice. Is he going to play? That's the question. I'm going to go. The Ravens have been so terrible. I feel like they're kind of desperate. They kind of need to get a win here. I'm going to go Ravens.
I'm also going to go Ravens in this one. I mean, especially if you get Lamar back. At the end of the day, you still have Derrick Henry. You still have the weapons, and you're going up against, first-time head coach, and of course, a second-year player in Caleb Williams. I like the Ravens one. However, if this was in Chicago, I would definitely take the Bears. But being that it's in Baltimore, give me the Ravens. Jets at Bengals.
I think the Jets are still going to be the grease fire they are, and Joe Flacco's going to get a win. I think the Bengals are kind of on the upswing. Although we do know this, there's always that one game where the team is 0-8, 0-9, and they get that one win and they go 1-16. We know that's a real thing. So
especially with Joe Flacco coming off of an electric performance prior, does he kind of have a dip here? I could see the Jets winning this. I'm not going to take the Jets because I'm not doing that, but I could see a world where they do win this game, but I'm going to stick with the Bengals in this one. Bills at Panthers.
I'm going to go with the Bills here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bryce is out.
The Panthers are a decent football team, but the Bills are still the Bills.
Bryce is out. He's going to be out for 2 weeks.
That makes a big difference.
Yeah. Niners at Texans.
I kind of feel like the Niners are back, but the Texans are kind of
Texans need a win.
They do need a win. Is Brock Purdy back? Or are we still doing
I think it's still Mac Jones.
But Mac Jones is playing complimentary football. So actually, with that defense, give me the Niners on the road. Actually, give me the Niners.
Yeah, I agree. Give me the Niners here. Texans need a win desperately though, but they can't run the ball. They're so one-dimensional. I'm gonna take the Niners. Browns and Patriots.
Unfortunately, we already made this score prediction, taking the Patriots.
I'm going to take the Patriots, unfortunately. Hopefully we're wrong. In that one.
It'd be great to be wrong.
Giants and Eagles.
Man, there's a lot of emotion in that football game against the Broncos, and I think the Giants are a good football team. It's a rivalry. Give me the Eagles, though. Give me the Eagles.
Yeah, give me the Eagles. I think so. Look, you've got Saquon going against his former team at home in Philly. I'm going to take the Eagles in this one. Bucks at Saints.
Bucks at Saints. As much as I love my Kellen Moore and wish him for a win, I think Baker gets a little pissy, comes back, shows why he's still a good player and a good team. Bucks win on the road.
I agree. Titans and Colts.
Colts are for real, and they run the damn ball better than anybody.
They do. They're nuts. I agree. Cowboys at Broncos.
Okay, so I do believe in the Broncos. I do believe in Bo. I think the Cowboys were all over the place last week, and because of them being a high, they come back down to earth. Denver's a tough place to win. Give me the Broncos on the road.
All right, you're taking who? The Broncos?
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna take the Cowboys here.
Okay.
All right, next up, Packers at Steelers.
Interesting game.
Yeah.
Aaron Rodgers only needs to beat one team to beat every team in the National Football League for his career. That is going to weigh on him. I actually, as much as I hate to say this, I think the Steelers, and he is revenge for everything that happened to him. I think I'm going to take the Steelers in this game.
I hear you. I am very conflicted in this one because if he wants to beat anybody badly, it is the Packers. It's in Pittsburgh, Sunday night football.
Oh.
However, they just played in primetime last week, lost to the Bengals. I mean, kind of an up and down emotional game. I do believe that the Packers are a better team. They perform well in primetime. Oh goodness, this one it's kind of a coin flip, isn't it?
This is gonna be a good football game to watch. Yeah,
really go either way on this one. I'm gonna go. My gut's telling me to take the Steelers, and I hate that. I really want to take the Packers though, so I'll go with the Steelers just because it's what my gut's saying. All right, Commanders at Chiefs.
The Chiefs seem to have found their way. Commanders are still a good football team, but I'm going to take the Chiefs in this game.
I'm going to go with the Chiefs, and I changed my mind. I'm taking the Packers.
Out of nowhere, Allie's back with the Pack. All right. So
I don't know. I just can't do it. I can't do it. So give me the Packers in that one.
Right.
Yes, I agree. Chiefs are going to win this one, and Jaden's out. So they're certainly the better team. That win last week was kind of the turning point, or 2 weeks ago at this point, kind of the turning point, and they're off and running, which is always scary. So there you go. I'm taking the Cowboys. You're taking the Broncos. I'm taking the Packers. And you are taking the Steelers. So there you have it. What else?
So we only have 2 games this week that I need to focus on. So there you go.
Yeah.
Anybody that wants to know, 8 minutes into the second quarter, our Cavs are down by 12, 30-42 in that game. So the Knicks are getting kind of the best of us, but it is only the first half of basketball, and we know that the score could drastically change. A lot to go in that game, but should be a good week. I don't know. The only thing I would add is, what do you make of all this? Shedeur is going to get an opportunity soon, and all these.
Yes, I think he will, and I think that was always part of the plan. Right. When you take 2 quarterbacks and neither of them are a first-round pick, especially with the hype that kind of they both bring. Dillon Gabriel has played so much college football.
Yeah.
He's got great production. You want to see what that looks like, and does it translate to the NFL? And same with Shedeur. Like, what does his skill set bring? I absolutely think it was always part of the plan to see what you had in both of these guys. I think this will be kind of a telltale game. It's really kind of do or die for Dillon Gabriel in this one. And not to say that, let's just say after the bye, they go to Shedeur for a few games. They could still come back to Dillon towards the end of the season. I don't know that it's necessarily a true benching, but I think that they will want to see what they have in both of these guys at different points in the season. And that may be dependent on matchups, right? You might take a look at a team down the line and say, this is a better matchup for Shedeur. Let's see what we have. So I think it's definitely part of the plan. It's just a matter of when.
Yeah, it is interesting. I don't even think like Joe Flacco was a permanent benching and everything that went down with him being traded, right? If Dillon started stinking up the place, there would probably be a good opportunity to go back to Joe Flacco to win football games, right?
Well, the other part of it being, Dustin, you have 2 first-round picks next year. And more likely than not, you're going to take a quarterback with one of those picks. Well, wouldn't you hate it if you spent a first-round pick and one of these guys ends up being the guy? You need to know what you have one way or another, whether you stick with who you have on the roster or if you do take somebody next year. You can't. You have to see what you have. I mean, going back a couple of years ago, look what Brock Purdy did. He was Mr. Irrelevant. He was the last pick of the draft. He had an opportunity to start. It was like 8 or 9 games and was legit. And they didn't do anything. He was the guy. So you have to know what you have on your team before you can make a decision like that. But you do have 2 first-round picks. Quarterback's going to be high on that list, probably with your first pick. So you're going to need to know what you have.
And I think maybe that was part of the Browns' plan all along until the whole Kenny Pickett thing kind of, made it a little different. But according to Mary Kay in the interview she's done this week, that Shedeur Sanders has progressed quite nicely and progressed to the point where I think they would feel comfortable rolling him out based on everything she's hearing. So it'd be interesting to see if and when that moment is. Is that after the bye week? Is that the last 4 weeks of the season? It'll just be interesting. But you're right. You're only doing yourself a disservice if you don't at least give him an opportunity for some games this year, because then why the hell did you draft him, right?
Yep.
If that was the case. I mean, that doesn't even makes zero sense.
So we'll see. All right. Any closing thoughts, Dustin, before we wrap up?
No, you will not be with us Sunday. I think you're probably doing some traveling, but we'll be back next week. If we have any guests next week, we will let you know. There could be some guests next week. We just don't know yet. So stay tuned for that in that regard. But other than that, man, let's shock the world. Let's get a win in New England this week. Let's do 2 in a row and go into the bye week. I'd be all about that. That'd be great. So, hey, who knows? It's the NFL. We win the ones we're not supposed to, and we lose the ones we're not. That's the Cleveland Browns. That's how they end up. So
that's the recipe. All right, before we wrap up, here's a quick word from our friends over at Mr. Hero.
SOS, I could use a hero right about now. My faith in love is upside down. H-E-R-O, where will we all go? SOS, I could use a hero right about now. My faith in love is upside down. H-E-R-O, I crave a hero.
All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, Browns fans, go Browns.
go Browns.